Hello, this is John Pavall with Access Arts Live. It's January 3rd, 5:30 in the evening in Europe, 11:30 in the morning on the East Coast, and 8:30 in the morning on the West Coast. Welcome to our weekend highlights of mostly chamber music that we have going on for you Friday through Sunday, and a couple of organ recitals that I'll get to in some separate announcements that we put out. I want to remind you as we're starting out to subscribe to Access Arts Live. You can do that if you're watching us on YouTube by clicking on the little box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And you'll automatically be subscribed and start getting notices about all of the live stream announcements that we make. On Facebook, you go up to our page. It's not enough to just like this video. Go to our page and click the like or follow button at the top of the page. Why? Because we're going to give you news about and provide you with live links to more than 1,000 live performances online in 2025. How do I know we'll do that many? Because in the last 6 months of 2024, we did about 600. So we will easily do 1,000 in this new year because there is more and more going on. We know about more and more. There's so much going on. We can't even tell you about all the live streams going on. There's an awful lot of live streaming going on at academic institutions, some of it quite good. We don't have time to fit it in. And there's the organ recitals, there's opera, there's occasional ballet, there's symphonies all around the world in the northern and in the southern hemispheres. There are all sorts of chamber music outlets and avant-garde music, which is, modern day composition, mixing classical and jazz or classical and electronic music. There's so much going on. So follow us or on YouTube or on Facebook are the two best places. You can also follow us though on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Threads, because we are there as all. We want to open the doors up for everybody to be able to enjoy these live streams. So come on board and join the global audience. You will find that many of these are live streamed free of charge on YouTube, and in the chat box, you'll run into people from all over the world. I've been in chats with people on YouTube where it's there'll be somebody from South Africa, there'll be somebody from Korea, there'll be somebody from Greece, there'll be somebody from Toronto, Canada, Washington D.C., San Diego, California. They're coming in from all over. So let's get to this week's live streams. Now, if you thought that Christmas was entirely over, well, you were mistaken. You were entirely mistaken. It's not over yet here in Stockholm, Sweden, where I'm live streaming from. It's not over until January 6th. And in many of your Orthodox countries, and in Ukraine and in Russia, no. The big Christmas day is January 6th. It's not December 25th. And there you have the picture there. And I'm so happy that we now have Instagram joining us directly. So you get the pictures on Instagram too, because for a couple of months I couldn't give them to you. Anyway, that's the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow. And they have, to prove the point, they have 3 different live streams coming to you this weekend, all live streamed free of charge on YouTube by the terrific Artbene live stream service. So let's take all 3 of them together, and then I will get on to all the other live streaming that's going on this weekend. There are a number of things going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, Friday, January 3rd at 7 o'clock European time, Artbene live streams the organ and chamber music concert from the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow, playing waltzes by Strauss and jazz compositions by Leroy Anderson, featuring an orchestra that's been around at least 10, 15 years in Moscow, the Antonio Chamber Orchestra. That's at 7 in the evening, European time, 1 in the afternoon on the East Coast, 10 in the morning on the West Coast, 9 o'clock in the evening, Moscow time, where it's happening. Now, it's at the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow. I can pull up a picture for you now that Instagram is sharing the pictures with us too. I'm just so pleased about that. I have a picture here of the Antonio Orchestra. This was taken just in the last couple months. You can see they're youngish people. I think they hold competitions in order to get into the orchestra. And I found photos like from 10 years ago with a different group of young people who had just become a part of the orchestra. So I think that is what the deal is with that orchestra. The director and conductor is Anton Paisov. At the organ will be Olesia Kravchenko. So this is one of these, this is kind of light music that are crowd pleasers, you know, Strauss waltzes and music by Leroy Anderson. Now, who is Leroy Anderson? Okay, Leroy Anderson, among other things, has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And Leroy Anderson is the guy who wrote, and I have a couple of pictures of another orchestra doing it. I don't know if they're doing this tonight, and that's tonight, just in about an hour and a half, actually. He's the guy who wrote the typewriter piece for typewriter and orchestra. It's the one where the orchestra is going ding, because the guy's at the typewriter. He's typing along with the orchestra, and then he's supposed to pull the register over. If you don't know about old-time typewriters, you would type on them, and the bar would move along until the end of the line, and then you'd have to pull it back, and it would make a ding when you did that. So this was a riotously funny thing back in the 50s and 60s, but apparently, actually, there's an orchestra in Miami that did it, which is where I got these photos from. So I don't know if they're doing it, but it would be worth checking it out. It's free of charge to find out if they do it, because it's a lot of fun. So this is a nice, lighthearted concert for you tonight, Friday night, January 3rd. Now, then they're going to be back on Saturday with two concerts. An afternoon concert, Moscow time, and an evening concert. I'm telling you, the people at the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow have a very sentimental and romantic side to them. And this is, you know, I'm American born. I come from American culture. We don't ordinarily think of Russian people as being sentimental and romantic that way, and they are. And so the Catholic Cathedral repeatedly has these live stream concerts with organ and harp, you know, and spoken word, telling fairy tales accompanied by sand animation. This Saturday, their live stream along these lines is called Cinderella's New Year's Ball. So this is Saturday, January 4th, 1 o'clock in the evening, in the afternoon European time, 7 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, early, 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Moscow. Artbene live streams Cinderella's New Year's Ball, a musical fairy tale with organ, spoken word, harp, and sand animation. If you don't know about live sand animation as an art form, I recommend you check it out. It's magical. I can't talk about everything when I'm doing these summaries, or these live streams would last an hour and a half. But I can talk about the things that I think are more interesting. And I really want you to check out, this is an example of sand animation from earlier this autumn, done by Lydia Miller, who is the sand animation artist for this concert as well. And what she's going to be doing is drawing these sand images, which then they also project on a big screen in the church, and which you see while it's going on, as the story of Cinderella is being told this time. And I have a picture showing you Lydia Miller herself at work. She works over a board like this, which is then, you know, broadcast over onto a larger screen. And that's Lydia Miller. And I think we'll give you the link to her Instagram account. I just think it's adorable. And it makes for, it gives you an audio visual aspect to it. Lydia Miller says on her Instagram page, "I love life to tears." And I love artists who have that kind of sentiment. If you want to know where sand animation came from, it came from 1968, when Caroline Leaf, an undergraduate art student at Harvard, made a film called Sand, using sand animation technique in it. And it is spread now. There's an article out there you can find about who are the top 10 sand animators, and they are from, here are the countries they're from: Egypt, India, Belarus, China, Ukraine, Israel, Albania, Hungary, Netherlands, and Canada. So check it out. What can I say? Okay. All right, now. I hope the two of you who are with me. I don't know what service you're with us on, because I can't say that, but you're very welcome here to be with us, and I'm happy that I have some people watching this live. Now, you can see a picture there. That's I'm sorry, I've never seen this horn before. That's what's called an Alphorn, or an alpine horn. What would you say to an Alpine Atmosphere Christmas concert coming to you straight from Moscow? Is it possible? Yes, it is. When Alpine horn specialist Arkady Schildklopper comes to town. And this will be Saturday at 6 o'clock European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast, 8 o'clock in the evening in Moscow. A Christmas tribute with organ and Alphorn, if that tempts you. Arkady Schildklopper is a specialist in the French horn, the Alpine horn, the pastoral horn, the corno de casilla, the flugel horn. He's a composer, arranger, jazz man, multi-instrumentalist. And this program aims at creating an atmosphere of an Alpine Christmas at the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow, with works by Johann Sebastian Bach, Lebeck, Leopold Mozart, by Schildklopper himself, Balbastra, Irving Berlin, Ennio Morricone. Yeah, I know that's not classical, and others. And at the organ is not the cathedral organist, it's the Moscow Conservatory professor of organ, Mariana Vyotskaya. Arkady was born, he is an older guy, he's about late 60s now, born in 1956, started out a young pioneer. In those days, you know, the communists were still running the Soviet Union, and went to military school and played music in the military school, came out, studied at the Gnesen Institute. He's got a record as long as your arm, playing both classical music, but also forming jazz ensembles again and again with musicians from all over the world, not with other Russian musicians, with musicians from Switzerland and Argentina and Peru, and, you know, things like that. So I think this looks to be a very interesting concert. Schildklopper resides these days in Wuppertal, Germany, but he does apparently he does visit Moscow on a regular basis, and he's doing so to your profit. This time today, he'll be playing that long Alphorn in the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow in order to help create an Alpine atmosphere. Well, I tell you it will, you know, bring in a couple of goats and things off the hillsides, and, you know, you can some straw for the manger, and you've got a great Christmas concert. Anyway, those are the three Christmas concerts that you have coming to you this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Thanks to Artbene and their great channel, constantly doing these live streams free of charge on YouTube. Now, let's get down to the other business at hand, because, you know, this has not been only the Christmas season, but Hanukkah ended yesterday, January 2nd. Today's the 3rd. And so in this season, when Hanukkah has just ended, the history of Jewish music may be on the hearts and minds of many people as well. And there's a group called the Trio Sephardi, live streaming from the Kennedy Center Millennium stage Friday night, January 3rd, 6 o'clock Eastern time in the US, with a concert of songs from the Sephardim, or the Sephardim. And I have a picture of them that I can show you, of this trio. Let's have a look at the Trio Sephardi. This is early music kind of stuff. So it's of interest to those of you, you know, the kinds of people who follow things like the Midtown concerts and the the Boston Art Song Society, which we'll be getting to a little later in this live stream to tell you about. We've already gone 15 minutes, so we still have, maybe we're halfway through now. Anyway, this is at 6 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock on the West Coast, midnight in Europe, 10 o'clock Sunday morning down under in Australia. The trio is Howard Bass on the lute, guitar, and percussion, Tina Chansey on bowed strings, percussion, and voice, and Susan Gaeta also singing and on guitar and percussion. So you'll have two lovely women's voices. The Sephardim were the descendants of Jews who were exiled in Spain back in starting in 1492, the year that Columbus went to the Americas for the first time. And the Washington Post says that this ensemble gives lovely and luminous performances. So how about that? They performed a lot at East Coast venues, festivals, synagogues, and Jewish community centers. They've been around about 15 years now. And they were inspired by a musician named Flori Yagoda. For those of you who know about this kind of music, if you know of Flori Yagoda, they pay tribute to her in their concerts. The Akademie für Alte Musik Berlin is making its premiere appearance at the top quality 92NY live stream concert series, also on Friday, January 3rd. This is one of the top early music ensembles in the world. They'll be playing music by people named Bach and Telemann, but perhaps not the Bach and Telemann that you'd be expecting. It's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning in Europe. The program features Xenia Loeffler on the oboe. So she plays a main role in it. The music that they're going to be playing is Johann Bernhard Bach's Overture and Suite, Orchestral Suite number 1 in G minor, George Philipp Telemann's String Quintet in E minor, then some Johann Sebastian Bach, a violin concerto in G minor, then back Georg Philipp Telemann, the overtures, another overture suite called the Burlesque de Quixote. And finally, again, Johann Sebastian Bach's concerto for violin and oboe in C minor. These people are top of the line when it comes to early music. German Baroque works are their signature. They know it inside out. They've been around for 40 years, formed back in 1982. They contributed to the rediscovery of composers like Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, C.P.E. Bach, and Georg Philipp Telemann, whom they're playing in this concert. Well, at least one of them. And they have gradually expanded over 40 years their core repertoire to include the Baroque and classical periods and the 19th century. And recently have done an acclaimed cycle of Beethoven symphonies and their role models. They have over 100 recordings, and they've won all the major recording awards: Grammy Awards, Diapason d'Or, Gramophone Award, Edison Award, etc. Oh, and that annual prize of the German record critics. And I don't have the name of it in German, but it sounds so lovely in German. Anyway, so check that out. Another great early music score by an American group live streaming. I am proud of how, I'm older. When I was growing up in a time, people were still saying, is there such a thing as American culture? They were still saying things like that in Europe. And now when I look at the live streaming that's going on, there's terrific live streaming of chamber music and early music going on all over the United States. And on the East Coast, but also on the West Coast, up in Seattle, they're crazy about it. Okay, so let's move on. I got to give you another picture. I'm kind of happy with myself that I haven't forgotten to change pictures too much this time. Here's the next two people that I want to tell you about. Saturday evening, January 4th, the Kennedy Center Millennium Stage live streams for you free of charge, a program which I wish they had told us more about. It's medieval fiddle expert Niccolo Seligmann and percussionist Lucas Ashby, whom you see in the pictures there, taking us on a musical tour of the Middle Ages. They say it's from Spanish miracle songs to whirlwind Italian dances and more. So put on your dancing shoes and give it a whirl. I don't have any more to tell you about it than that. Oh, I can tell you that it's at 6 in the evening on the East Coast, 3 in the afternoon on the West Coast, midnight in Europe, and 10 Sunday morning. The Kennedy Center Millennium Stage is always on in that time frame. Do I have anybody to show you for this next concert? Yeah, I do. I do, as a matter of fact. Where is this guy? Jay Jeffryes. All right, I have a serious picture of Jay Jeffryes to show you, which may be not the best way to present him. All right, this is Jay Jeffryes. Gene Pritzker and his international band of contemporary classical musicians from around the world are back this Saturday afternoon in New York City with the Jeffryes brothers, playing a piano and drum set devoted entirely to new compositions. So new, the impressions have barely settled on the computer screens on which they were written. That's at 7 in the evening in New York, 4 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1 in the morning on the East Coast. Jay Jeffryes and Lee Jeffryes. Jay on the piano, Lee on the drums. Jay Jeffryes is a producer and pianist. He has a recording project called Tangent Shores, which is devoted to original releases of new music. Composers Concordance, this group of Gene Pritzker. It's now. If you want the music that people are creating now, this is what they're creating. Now, it may not necessarily be they're creating what would be played by the Boston Symphony, but they are out there creating it. And bear this in mind. We listen to classical music from the 18th and 19th century and all of that. We just listen to a sliver of it. 90 to 95% of what was composed then, it's gone. The same thing is true with a lot of modern compositions. But the gold, you only get the gold if you dig through all the dirt. So, and I'm not saying this is dirt. I'm saying this is a different kind of gold. There may be pieces that aren't to your liking, and then there may be 1 or 2 pieces that are extraordinary. They'll do a couple pieces by Gene Pritzker and a piece by Jay Jeffryes himself, and then a list of people: Seth Boosted, Vicky Chang, Peter Jarvis. I don't know them. I don't know their music, but I can tell you this: their music is now. And Jay Jeffryes, as a pianist, who has done studio recordings of the music of Schubert and Debussy, so he's not unfamiliar with straight classical music. The LA Times, the Fanfare magazine says Jay Jeffryes is one of those pianists constitutionally incapable of unmusical playing. So look for a musical evening Saturday night if you're interested in contemporary compositions. We have 2 more pieces to tell you about, folks, and we're going to go almost to 30 minutes with this live stream. So that's just, what happens sometimes. I don't know why I'm apologetic about taking more time. But we had 3 people watching. We're down to 2. So I've been talking too long. I get that. All right. This is Ashley Fripp. St. Mary's Perivale is up to its usual tricks on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock European time. With the distinguished British pianist Ashley Fripp playing Schubert and Beethoven. Ashley's a recitalist, concerto soloist, chamber musician, distinguished pianist. He'll give a good show. That will be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, British time, 4 o'clock European time, 10 in the morning on the East Coast, 7 in the morning on the West Coast. He'll be playing several impromptus by Schubert. He'll be spending about a half an hour doing that. It's impromptu number 1 in C minor, number 2 in E flat, number 3 in G flat, and number 4 in A flat. And then I imagine he'll take a little break and he'll be back playing Beethoven's Piano Sonata in A flat, Opus 110. So it's about a 1 hour program altogether, but if he takes a little break in between, it'll be a little more than that. Listen, Ashby Fripp has played everywhere, from Carnegie Hall to the Musikverein in Vienna, to Wigmore Hall, the Concert House in Stockholm, the Gulbenkian Auditorium in Lisbon. And he's won prizes at more than a dozen national and international competitions. It's high quality at St. Mary's Perivale. If you want a high quality Sunday afternoon concert, this is it. Live streamed to you free of charge. And there's a terrific chat box conversation that goes on with the St. Mary's Perivale live streams. We come to the end of the road, my friends, and with an almost half-hour live stream. So much going on this weekend. I suppose I could have told you all about it in maybe 10 minutes' time, but you wouldn't have got any background. Okay, so here is the last of the things that we have to tell you about. Sunday afternoon, the Brooklyn Art Song Society continues to keep alive the vital art of art song, one that I have practiced myself in the past in recitals, with part 4 in its Histories program called Lachrimae, which means tears, as in the Roman poet Virgil's moment when Aeneas says, Sunt lachrimae rerum und mentem et mentem mortalia tangent. And that means Virgil has Aeneas. He's at the palace of Dido, and there's a wall frieze there which shows the fall of Troy, which was his hometown. And he says, "These are the tears of things, and mortal things may touch the heart of man. Et mentem mortalia tangent." This is at Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 in the evening in Europe, 9 in the morning, the Monday morning down under in Australia. The Brooklyn Art Song Society, they have this thing where we give you the link where they say pay what you choose. But what I recommend you do, if you're interested in early music at all, you subscribe. If you subscribe for $10.99 a month to their digital concert hall, you get all of their concerts and you get all this other information that they have stored about early music on their website. Opera News once wrote, Brooklyn Art Society keeps the intimate recital alive with innovative programs as they have throughout their distinguished history, skillfully reminding us of the great vitality and power of art song. Yes, exactly. Now, this group, the only, I don't have a picture of the performers for you. They're going to be performing John Dowland, whom they refer to as being the pinnacle of the troubadour tradition, and he was way up there, although I think of him as a little past the troubadours. When I think troubadours, I think these guys wandering around down in Provence in France. But what do I know? I'm not a musicologist. And also Henry Purcell's works, which, as arranged by Benjamin Britten, who was just absolutely in love with Henry Purcell. So this will be selected lute songs by John Dowland and selected songs and duets by Henry Purcell, arranged by Benjamin Britten. I could give you the names of the performers. It's Nola Richardson, soprano, Kate Maroney, mezzo-soprano, Andrew Fuchs, or Fuchs, tenor, I'd call it Fuchs to be safe, Jonathan Woody, bass baritone, Spencer Meyer on the piano, and Charles Weaver on the lute, who will be a critical participant since there's a lot of lute playing involved in this concert. Folks, that's it. It took me a half an hour to talk. There's all this, I think there's 10 different live streams going on in 3 days' time. I promise you, subscribe to us on YouTube. All you have to do is click the little box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and you'll be automatically subscribed. Go to our homepage on Facebook and click like at the top of the page so you're liking the page. and then you will be subscribed and following us. And I guarantee you, if you do so, we will get you news and live links to over 1,000 live streams this year. We did over 600. Well, a little under 600 in the last 6 months of 2024, our first 6 months of operation. There's no doubt we'll do 1,000 this year. There's more going on than we can even keep track of. So I commend that to you. Most of the live streams that we try to tell you about are free of charge. Not all of them. Those which cost something, I guarantee you, cost less than it would cost you to walk in the doors of the very same concert halls or opera houses or dance houses anywhere in the world. So these are great opportunities. It's like artistic gold spread out all over the internet landscape for you to just pick up. But for you to pick it up, you have to know about it. And we give you the roadmap with weekly roundups and then daily reminders of what's going on from day to day. So you can count on us to do that. If we can count on you to like our page and follow our page on Facebook, and or subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads, or on LinkedIn, because we're on all those places too. I guess that's all I've got. I wish you a great New Year, starting off with as much positive and moments of truth and beauty as all of these things I've just talked about offer to you. Why not enjoy them? Ciao.